Okay, so we're back again for week 3 of Letting Wisdom Lead. And we've spent some time, just as a reminder for you, talking about what is wisdom and where it comes from. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was what gets in the way of wisdom. And I think it's a really good question, because people will often come and say, you know, we kind of talked a bit about it last time, like, yeah, no, this wisdom stuff is great. I don't think I have any, or I had it for 10 minutes last Sunday, but it's gone. I've lost it. So, like, speak a little bit about that. Like, what gets in the way of it?
So there's a number of different layers to what gets in the way. But I'm going to start with the ultimate truth of what gets in the way, and the way to start this conversation, I think, is to remind ourselves what wisdom is and where it comes from. And the simple truth is it's a present time phenomena. It's a now thing.
Right.
Which is really important to take into account if you want to understand about wisdom and what gets in the way, because it's happening now. It's available now in this moment. And so when we get preoccupied with things other than this moment, and we all know what I mean by preoccupied, you know, caught up, the clouds in our heads, anxiety, upset, regret, guilt, you know, when we get caught up, preoccupied, obsessed with thoughts that are not related to the nowness of now, what's needed now, that gives us less chance of wisdom, because wisdom is a present time phenomena. So I think that's just really, I mean, we can kind of stop here with the course, because this is the ultimate truth and the secret in a way, all in one. But I think it's worth unpacking a bit more. What, you know, just what kind of things do humans, do me and you and everyone who's listening, what takes us away from this present moment? I mean, there's an infinite number, right?
When you're saying that, all I can think is like, well, I do that like all day, every day. Like, think about, like, I don't think much about what happened yesterday, but like, that's gone. Not interested. But like, but I am constantly thinking about like tomorrow, or what I'm going to do next in the future, and creating future scenarios in my head. Like, as entrepreneurs, that's kind of what we do, right? But yeah, just that instant recognition there with what you said, with the like, wisdom is here right now, but we're filling our head and get preoccupied with thoughts about something other than now.
That's it.
Yeah.
I feel like we should pause here, because it's so profound what we're saying.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just like soak it in. Everyone, us, you and me, everyone listening, because it is so true how much of the time we're not living in the now, available for the nowness of now wisdom.
Yeah.
That's okay. We don't have to be upset about that, but it's just good to know.
Yeah.
It's just good to know. So what takes us away? What gets in the way? Well, I mean, we could riff on this for ages, and we will. But look, any kind of idea of the future, in particular catastrophic, is not A, happening now, and B, because it's not happening now, you're missing a vital piece of the equation, which is you in the future will have resources such as wisdom to draw on should that catastrophic event actually happen.
Yeah. Now, like,
when it happens,
and then now you will have the resources.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
That now, not this one. That now.
The new now will give you what you need.
Yeah.
Because wisdom is a now phenomena.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that, because it's not happening now, and the you that deals with it will have wisdom.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first big insight, Elizabeth. My very first big insight was when it happens, I'll be taken care of.
Yeah. Yes.
With my migraines. And that, first of all, I thought, no, I can take care of it then. But what I saw was more profound, which is what you've just said, is no, when it happens, you'll be taken care of. That's
absolutely
that's
right.
wisdom's presence.
You know, which
I don't have to do that. Thank God I don't have to make them show up in the moment. Like, luckily it's already and always will be there and is there.
Which is why a deeper peace of mind is all about traveling back to that deeper understanding of mind, which takes care of us. It's a beautiful keep pointing back home program I witnessed. And because that is the place where wisdom arises, we can trust and have faith in it, even when we think we can't.
Yeah.
We can't, you know, it's so cool. So yeah, future-based catastrophic scenario planning. That'll take you away, right?
Yeah.
You know, over.
Yeah, just on that note though, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No,
that's what happens when you're up in your head worrying about what you're going to do because you've just been made redundant, and then you step in front of a car, right? Like you cross a road without looking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Like that's like just you're so preoccupied with a future scenario that might happen that you missed what's going on under your nose right now.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Including, okay, this is us, Nick. We're just going to have to out ourselves.
God, what's she going to say?
Oh my God, we're outing ourselves, Nick. Okay.
She's going to share something that happened in the spa.
No, I'm not going to be specific. I'm going to be general. But let's just say there are some people who get so enamored with their big ideas and all the things that they can do and make happen that they're living in another kind of future imagined scenario, which is all the possible things that they can do and how they could do it. And they're creating castles of brilliance in their mind.
I don't know anyone like that.
We don't know anyone like that. But anyway, also stepping in front of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not seeing the child in front of us that's crying, not seeing the food, tasting it, not seeing the simple thing that's needed versus the complex thing. Innocent, with a good heart and a loving, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. The sitting here right now in front of this video, watching us and not hearing a word we're saying.
Right.
Now, in this moment, like thinking about what you're doing later, what you're doing tomorrow, you're flicking onto Facebook, like you're missing now.
That's it.
Yeah.
So many things can take us away from now. We don't want to judge them. They just do, right? So, and look, sometimes, like if I'm going to go on a holiday, especially now, and I want to book something, I might be interested in getting insurance now. So there's nothing wrong with thinking ahead now. Now, sometimes that's exactly what now calls for.
Yeah.
Common sense. You know, if you're going to move house, you want to book the van, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to just wake up on the morning and go, oh, it's, moving house day. No,
yeah.
No, so like wisdom has your back. Wisdom knows what you need to do, and it will nudge you and say, time to do the insurance, time to book the van. It's a very practical phenomena. It happens, you get now what's needed now.
Yeah.
You get that hunch to phone a friend and turns out they're really struggling. That's the magic of wisdom too. It brings just what you need. Sometimes you're like, why am I doing that? But I'm following it, and then discover later, why wisdom was leading you there.
Wisdom should have got me to put my phone outside the door, which I will do just now.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, wisdom.
You
really.
see how it just showed up there in that moment though? Like the phone rings, so I know to try and turn it on to silent, and then that doesn't work. So then I know to get up and put it outside the room. Like, good thing I didn't have to plan all that in advance. Sorry, I interrupted your flow there.
No, I was just
in real time.
I was tap dancing while you were doing your thing. But all we're really saying is, it's not good or bad what takes you away from the now. It just takes you away from the now. And that's fine. You can just know that. You can know that you're more likely to know what's needed now when you are available for the now. And then you get what's next. So the next right thing, that's another way to describe wisdom. And that can be anything from a common sense, put out the garbage because they're collecting it in the morning, to phone a friend, to, oh my God, I need to start my podcast, or whatever it is, you know, that just comes with that, what we talked about last time, the flute playing. The flute's pretty neutral in terms of what it's saying. It's just saying the next right thing, given having your back.
Yeah.
You know, and so anything that, you know, where we get preoccupied or feelings, big feelings, they can take us away from the now. You know, big feelings of regret or low mood, you know, and judging feelings, like we shouldn't be like this, or it shouldn't be like that. Any should is likely to be take us away from wisdom, right? Judgment, self-judgment. Is that the coffee arriving quietly?
Not quietly enough.
Luckily, we can dance with chaos, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I really think shoulds is a really nice. The lovely Ian Watson, who spends a lot of time awaiting instructions in the now, as we know.
Yeah.
You've had him on your podcast. He's awesome, and he really, wisdom and well-being are his domain. Kind of, he loves to be in that space and teach. But he's somebody who really allows the nowness of now to guide and to instruct him. And we were just talking about shoulds, and he talks about categories of thought. I'm sure you teach thought as a principle, and how it works. But Ian was the first one who introduced the notion of categories of thought. Now, obviously that's made up, but it's an interesting one because, you know, dreams, nightmares, they're categories of thought. Judgment is a category of thought that comes with a particular set of feelings. And I should or should not be, or they should or should not be. And I think we often live in a world of judgment. And some of us tend towards judging ourselves, some towards others, some both. But that will take us away from now.
Oh, completely.
And bring a bit of, you know, bad vibe with it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what keeps it stuck, I've noticed. Depression is something I've experienced a lot of in my life. I've seen the only thing that keeps it there is A, resistance to it, not wanting to feel it, and B, judging it.
Yeah.
If I can allow it and have it, and I don't judge it, I find a different experience. I still have the same low mood, but my experience of it completely different. Yeah. And I think, you know, so we're not saying always be happy, like we pointed to last time. We're saying the answer is in now. So sometimes a low mood, I don't know if you find this, Nick, but for me, sometimes a low mood is kind of just saying stop, slow down, have a bath, go watch some Netflix, hide in your bed for a day.
Yeah, I mean, mine is the opposite. Like when I go off, I get manic and anxious and insecure, and I go off into mega creation mode. And that feeling is here right now, again, to say, stop, slow down, go have a bath, step away from the computer. You're a dangerous woman right now.
Right.
And that, you know, that feeling is here now to be helpful.
It's a guide, as Rumi said, we said last time, a guide sent from beyond.
Yeah, or a love note from God, to quote.
Yeah, absolutely. We can allow it all. We are wise.
But that's really key. There is a wisdom, like we think, I don't know, we get the idea that it's easy to get the idea that when you live from wisdom, then you waft about like just pottering 24/7, right? In a lovely floaty mood, probably in a dress with like beautiful hair. And that's what it means to live from wisdom. And what we're saying is quite shocking, really, which is sometimes wisdom comes in the form of a horrible feeling. But isn't it amazing? Like for me, I just think that's amazing. I feel really like in awe of the fact that even in your low moods and even in your anxious thinking and feeling and insecure state, that's wisdom too.
Yeah.
Like it is, it's, and even when you're future thinking and catastrophizing and or thinking up futures all the time, the wisdom is still present there in the feeling of that.
Yeah.
It's showing us
Mm.
now that we're beating ourselves around the brain with thought. That's wisdom. That isn't a mistake. That's wisdom. That horrible feeling. Isn't that cool? And that, to me, that changes my relationship. Same with you with your depression. Like when I saw that, like I stopped fighting the fact of anxiety. When I stopped fighting that, I stopped resisting it. I just had this insight, which is like, oh, this is here forever. It was the most freeing insight ever. I could just feel the like, oh, well, then I don't have to keep trying.
So we're pre-Alpom friends. So I knew before Alpom, and I knew right at the beginning of it, and you were trying out stuff. And I remember I've totally nicked something from you in my own work, which is, oh no, we're not going to get rid of any of that. No, that's not this. Yeah. We're not going to get rid of any of that, but we are going to change. You have the chance. We're not going to do anything, but you have the opportunity here to learn something that can transform your relationship with it. Yeah. You can see it differently. You can experience it differently. But yeah, no, anxiety, yeah, that comes and goes.
Yeah, totally. But that there isn't anything that isn't made of mind.
That's it.
Just nothing. There isn't anything that isn't made of mind. Like wisdom, to my mind, like although we're doing our best to kind of point to wisdom and what it is, it's never what you think it is. Because
it's a present time phenomena, so we can't even describe it. It's only experienced in the moment inside of each of us.
Yeah.
We can keep saying that, but until it's experienced, it's not really known.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we covered this last time, but I just want to say it again because it's so important to say. It's just not, I think we might have started here, but it's not a destination. It's already there, and it always has been. So before coming across this understanding, you still had wisdom. Maybe you didn't have eyes for it. Maybe you didn't recognize it, or maybe you did, and you call it something else like knowing in your bones, or, you know, my instinct. Doesn't matter. You will see, and I invite people on this call to really reflect on the truth, because it is true. You will have had wisdom have your back all your life. And sometimes you'll have recognized it, sometimes not straight away, sometimes in hindsight. But we do, it's there. It's never not there.
Yeah.
And the more we know that, like know that in our bones, the more we have faith that the person who's going to deal with any future scenario is going to have that wisdom to guide them. You'll be taken care of, you know. And I think that's the journey of the deeper understanding. You understand it, and then you go deeper, and there's just an endlessness to the knowing. There is no end to knowing this understanding.
No.
No. So I just love this conversation, because it's just every time wisdom shows up, it's joyful. It's reaffirming. I think that's what I'm really looking for, the word. For me, I'm oriented towards joy. Other people, Ian is more of a peace guy, you know, but we all have our kind of favorite feelings. And for me, I just get thrilled by life. So, you know, when I get wisdom, I'm like, woohoo, you know. You're a bit like me. I think we're joyful girls. But for some of us, you know, that just whatever that feeling is of kind of faith in, oh yeah, I can have faith in that. The reassurance of it.
Yeah, for me, it's when I get touched by life. So I get like even if I think about it now, I'll probably get all weepy, but like those moments where you're just for no good reason at all, and just like you just are so full of gratitude, and your life is just amazing, and you're the luckiest person that ever walked the planet, and your kids are the loveliest, and the weather is amazing, and it all looks like the planets have all aligned, and But to me, that's when you get touched by the richness of life. Like that's wisdom kind of surfacing itself and letting itself be known. And then the rest of the time I walk around in the world completely forgetting that that's always available and trying to find it through thought. To me, that's what gets in the way of wisdom, right? Like, because I think it's something other than it is. I forget. I fall asleep. So I have moments where I wake up and I see truth. That's what that feeling is, whatever it is, however it shows up for you, peace, joy, whatever. And then I fall asleep and I think it comes from something that I can do or something that I can think or something in the world of form. So I go looking for it, because why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. Wisdom kind of has a calling to itself the whole time. But if you just mistakenly think it comes from outside of you, you're going to go looking for it there, and inadvertently there I am running around like a headless chicken, completely forgetting that 3 minutes ago I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't thinking anything, I wasn't in particular, I wasn't doing nothing in particular triggered it, or just all of a sudden out of nowhere it surfaced itself. No good reason at all.
Mm-hmm. So what gets in the way? Trying to find it, for sure. Innocently, we're innocent, we're just doing what makes sense, but we just forgot for a minute that we already have it, so we're looking everywhere else.
Well, I think wisdom kind of, it operates at the level of consciousness you're at in any moment, right? Because of the thing. So if right now it looks like my world is terrifying, I can't be outside the house, this is really awful, wisdom will take you back indoors. If it looks like the world is scary, it'll take you the quickest way back indoors. That's what it does. Like, people think when they flee from supermarkets in the middle of panic that the wisdom has abandoned them. And I'm like, well, no, it makes total common sense in that scenario. But as your understanding of what actually creates fear and anxiety, and as your understanding deepens and your mind settles moment to moment, or generally overall, then it just occurs to us that there's a different place to look, and at some levels of consciousness we stop looking at all, and there it is. Mm-hmm. So up here we're running around like headless chickens trying to create stuff, or run out of supermarkets or whatever, and then we go anywhere between the two. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To my mind. Yeah. So the evidence of it is always right there now. That's the thing. Even if you're really caught up and upset, because I think people think, Elizabeth, like, well, if I look back on my life, it was there all the time, apart from in 2014, where I had 3 suicide attempts, and I just lived in panic and fear the whole time. Mm. Where was wisdom then? Where was it? It totally abandoned me. Well, and what we're pointing to is, no, if you look, it was there. It was still there then too. It was trying to get your attention to stop using the gift of thought against yourself. Yeah. And an innocent misunderstanding. So, yeah, we can all, but also I think we can look back and see that even in the darkest of nights, somewhere there was the light guiding us. Mm-hmm. And maybe it didn't feel like that at the time. I'm just going to speak briefly about this, and then I think this feels like getting to a natural close, but I'm just going to go to something pretty profound that happened to me and talk about catastrophic future scenarios that you would imagine yourself to struggle in. I think your sister dying of cancer would be one of them, which is what happened to me. And the idea of what I would be like and how it would be was so devastating. My mind couldn't go there, or when it did, it was so devastating, understandable. Mm. And so we actually had an amazing last year of her life, because everyone knew she was dying. There's something really reassuring, first of all, about that, which I wouldn't have expected, but bloody hell, it was amazing. Yeah. Because we just were like, right, let's get on with all the things we never did. You're coming to Spain, I'm coming to Australia, and we're all going, all 20 of us, my sisters, husbands and kids and my mum, on holiday in Australia, and we're having a final Christmas together. Mm. That was wisdom, right?
bang, right, good, this is what's happening. And that gave us an anchor for this experience, and it enabled us all to focus on something loving in this last year. I mean, it was poignant, it was sad, but it was okay. And then we did that. It was fantastic. And then I said, I will come back when you're dying, because that's what made sense to me, and my rink made it possible. So I did that. And I got on that plane kind of shaking and crying. But I got off the plane to Australia, and this most unexpected thing happened, Nick, that I cannot explain. But the Bible has this term, the peace that passes understanding. So the peace beyond understanding, the peace that you cannot, why am I peaceful here now with this? And it felt like I was carried on a cushion of love for the 2 weeks that I was there witnessing. And I was weeping. It wasn't like I wasn't sad, or I was irritated with my sister and my mom. But, you know, there was the peace that passes understanding that had my back in one of the darkest, saddest times of my life. So the experience was nothing like I imagined it would be. Yeah. It was beautiful and sad. So I just share that because it's such a good example of what we think it's going to be like, and then how it actually is.
Well, and also the misunderstanding we have about the things we think will get in the way of it. So wisdom's great, but not possible in that scenario. And time again, like in the podcast, we've explored every scenario and found that it is possible, actually.
Absolutely.
And then that's a beautiful story. Well, so we're going to draw it to a close here for this week, and then we're going to come back next week because we want to talk about what is the secret to letting wisdom lead, which I'd love to talk more about. So we will see you next week.